To live without fear. That's what triathlete Kevin Lapena realized after a bike crash almost took his life. But in just a year since then, Kevin overcame all the physical, emotional struggles to actually return to the sport he loves. And this time, with a better appreciation of life. Tell us more about his story. Joining us tonight is Kevin Lapena. Kevin, good evening and welcome to the show.
Hi, Miko. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to tell my story.
I think people watching at home, they're looking at you. Okay, there's nothing wrong with this guy. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with him. I think, and we have the photos. I know to prove it. You had a you met a horrific accident last year. Tell us all about it.
Okay, let me preface this by saying this was 2 weeks or maybe just a little over a week before Ironman Cebu, which I have been preparing for a long time. Because if for those that aren't too familiar with the sport of triathlon, an Ironman is considered a long-distance race already. So you need an ample amount of time to prepare. So it was just about a week or 2 weeks prior to the race, and I was just, putting my finishing touches on the training regimen that I've been going through. And then all of a sudden this accident happens. This happened in Nuvali, in Laguna. I was cycling downhill, and I've gone down this road maybe about 1,000 times in the past. Absolutely normal for me. But then a truck suddenly comes out. And for us to hit each other, I steered my bike abruptly away from it. But because I was going down at a really quick speed, or a really fast speed, I lost control of the bike and I flew off it. I don't really remember what happened. I just remember waking up in the hospital, but what was found out was I had broken this arm, dislocated my shoulder, fractured my jaw, and it might not be obvious now, but like 4 of my teeth were gone.
Gone. From a technical standpoint, what complicated that situation? You were in aero position.
Yes.
Meaning your goal was for speed.
Absolutely.
Just straight downhill speed,
yeah.
And all of a sudden blindside this truck appears and everything just goes haywire. How tough was the getting back, recovery, dealing with pain and not being able to do the normal things that you would do?
Yeah, initially when people come across this incident that happened to me, what first comes to mind is, baka masakit yan. I don't want that to happen kasi it looks really painful. But then more than that, I want to say I'm blessed to have been, or to have a high threshold of pain. So the pain in itself wasn't that big of an issue for me. It was really the thought or the realization that I won't be able to race in Cebu anymore. And beyond that, I wouldn't be able to race for a certain amount of time after I'd recover. In fact, after the 2 surgeries I had to go through, the doctor told me I had about half a year before I could even think about getting into physical activity. And by that, I mean training again for triathlon. So swimming, cycling, and running. But fortunately enough for me, I suppose it was because I met this accident at a healthy point in my life. It just took me about 2 months, and then I was back in training again.
See, that's the thing I do not get. I think for many, if this happened to them, ang mangyayari matotrauma sila eh.
Exactly.
And it could make them say, forget it. I am not doing this ever again. I almost, like you might say, I almost lost my life. It's not worth it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to touch a bike. I don't want to run anymore. I don't want to swim anymore. You, on the other hand, it's like you said, oh, well, you know what, just brush it off and laban ulit. So
correct.
Where did you get that mindset that you just like, well, stuff happens, and you get back in the saddle and then you ride again. I don't know how you do that.
Mika, this is what I share to everyone I talk to about this. It's more than me being physically fit or more than you being physically able to go through, recovering or the healing process. It's your attitude towards whatever circumstance you're put in. Because so long as you have this mindset, so long as you have this strong attitude that puts you in a position that would want you or to give you the desire to recover and to bounce back up again, I suppose that translates to the physiological aspect of everything. So long as you have that drive to say, hey, I don't want to be in the hospital anymore. I don't want to be put on the shelf. I don't want to be left lying down. I want to get back up, finish what I started, and act as if, there's more that life has to offer me. And that's the most important part of it, because once you have that right attitude towards anything in life, not just particularly toward a sport, I suppose, and I'm certain you can conquer and achieve everything you'd want.
That first race back, how emotional was it that you were actually back on your feet, back on the bike, running again, competing, and actually finishing a triathlon after that horrific accident?
Yeah, although I took a little step before, because my first full race after my accident was Ironman in Subic this past March. But to prepare for that, aside from the training, I joined a smaller race about a month before it. I joined my team. We did a relay where I did the swim leg, and I'm proud to say that we actually won the gold medal there.
Pang-warm up mo yun for Subic. Yeah?
Chamba lang. And then come next month, or the month after that, after crossing the finish line of Ironman Subic, because for those that are familiar with the course or have done the race, they'd stand by it as being one of the hardest courses you'd ever be racing in. Not only because of maybe the gradients of the climbs of the hills, but because Subic is known to be a very hot location to be in general.
Yeah, I've tried those hills. As an idiot, I tried those hills. They're very, very, very hard. I'm going to pull a quote from an interview that you did. You told multisport.ph, quote, "I've always advocated living life to the fullest. This experience is no different. Although it may not be necessary to endure such a physical ordeal as I have, what's important is to live without fear." It's a strange thing to hear from someone who was on the brink of trauma or, emotional scars and not wanting to ride a bike anymore, maybe not wanting to go back to that place anymore. And yet here you are proposing that all of us live without fear. Why do you say that?
First of all, Miko, and I'm sure you'd agree with me here, life is a beautiful thing. And sayang naman, you can't make the most out of life if you won't force yourself to get out of your comfort zone. So maybe if it's taking on something that might have hurt you in the past, maybe it's something you're not comfortable with. For some, it might be, I don't know, eating dinuguan or balot or something like that. But my point is, get out of the country, explore new places, feel things that you have not yet felt before, because life relatively is short. It may seem long to us, but then in the bigger scheme of things, maikli lang yung panahon natin dito sa mundo. And what I want to advocate is that all of us must make it a point to just make the most out of our time here. And I suppose that's why I say, live without fear. Hey, porket na aksidente ako doesn't mean I won't do it again, right? Not the accident, but then getting back on the bike.
Getting back, and I hope you continue sharing your story, Kevin. And again, thank you for joining us and sharing your inspiring message to all our viewers tonight.
Thank you very much, Miko, for having me, and it's been a pleasure to share my story with everybody here in CNN.